Welcome. We are now 100 people who are joining live. I hope a few more people who will join a bit more later. We have today more than 300 people who registered to this event. So welcome. The webinar is called State Help for Startups in Germany, and it's organized by French Tech Berlin in cooperation with the Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Climate Action in Germany, the BMWK. And I'm André Pitié, community lead at French Tech Berlin. I'm a startup founder and working in Germany for the last 16 years in Berlin. And together with Marie-Avril Roux-Steinkühler, we met with Jochen Zimmermann from the BMWK, this federal ministry, a few months ago. And we thought that it could be useful to organize a series of online conferences to help startup founders and investors better understand how the state, regions, Bundesländer are helping startups both in Germany and in France. We are starting today with the first episode of a series of webinar with the state help for startups in Germany. And so today we are welcoming really wonderful guests. We will have Jochen Zimmermann, who is heading the division for startups, strategy and digital hubs in the Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Climate Action. Moritz Matzmorr, in charge of the Exist program, which is operated by the project management unit, followed by Benedikt Walter, who is working for the Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Climate Action, officer in charge of the in the division in charge of the High-Tech Gründerfonds. Then Christiane Niesert-Mendoza, also working for the same ministry, in charge of the Future Fund, Zukunftsfonds. Then Philippe Kövener, who is heading the Trend and Innovation Scouting Team in Berlin for GTAI, in charge of the Digital Hub Initiative. Markus Hempel, D-Hub Ambassador France and Director France of the Paris office of GTAI. And then we have Florent Buschiazzo, working for Bpifrance in Germany, and followed by Etienne Leroux, working for Business France in Germany. And I'm also welcoming, of course, Marie-Avril Roux-Steinkühler, President of French Tech Berlin. Welcome, Marie-Avril.
Thank you. Thank you very much, André, for having setting up this fantastic meeting. I'm very happy that we could organize that. I am Marie-Avril Roux. I have been in Berlin for 19 years now. I'm an IT lawyer, and I have the chance to chair this fantastic, vibrant community of the French Tech Berlin, which has been existing in Berlin since 2016. What we do is that in the French Tech Berlin, we connect French and German tech entrepreneurs. We are part of the global French Tech network, which is an impressive network present in the whole world. And we support startups, we facilitate cross-borders collaboration, we promote innovation between France and Germany and our tech ecosystem. So I was very enthusiastic when we decided together with Jochen Zimmermann to set up this this first time, I think, ever organization between French and German systems and presentation of our German and French support system. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marie-Avril. And we start with Jochen Zimmermann. Maybe I think we wanted to also thank you warmly, Jennifer Yotner, who helped a lot at the BMWK to organize this this event.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Jochen, you can start talking. It's okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much, André. Thank you very much, Marie-Avril. Bonjour à tous. Welcome to everyone here today in the call. I think it's much more, it's about 130 participants right now, which is like really, really impressive. So thank you for all of you to participate and joining this call today. A big thank you to French Tech, André, Marie-Avril, for this very close cooperation. I think it's pretty much obvious that institutions from our countries work closely together when it comes to startups. So I think this is a really good really good what we have done today. So thank you also to my team, Jennifer, and all the other people, colleagues who are going to participate in the call today, and who will give you some more insights on the German startup ecosystem later on. So as André already mentioned, I am in charge of heading the division for the startup strategy here at the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action. And my task today is to give you a kind of an overview over the German startup ecosystem, what we can offer. And my colleagues later on will go a little bit more into details and going to give you insights on specific startup and financing programs. So once again, thank you to all of them. And maybe André, can you show us the first slide, please? It's about the facts and figures on the German startup ecosystem. It's actually the third one.
I think you can all see the screen.
Yes, it's not a full screen yet, but yes, now it's full screen. Thank you so much.
Right.
Perfect. Yes, there you can see some facts and figures on the German startup ecosystem. As you can see, it's a pretty strong ecosystem. So the first figure is the number of venture capital that has been invested in German startups in 24, which was around 7.4 billion. And there you can see the number was rising compared to 23. And it's about 500,000 people, even some more, who are currently employed by startups. And we have about 31 unicorns right now in Germany. So these are like pretty good figures. However, the share of female founders is, to our view, it's still too low. It's below 20%, and we are going to try to improve that and to try to raise this number. We are very grateful that about a third of all the startups have a green business model or sell like products that can be deemed as green. It's 29%. And when it comes to the sectors which are important, of course, software shows very good development, but also medicine, health, food, e-commerce, and many more. And maybe on the next slide, you can see there's a chart. You can see the numbers of startups that were founded the last years, and we have also, so compared to the numbers in 23, we have a rise by 11%, and 2,760 startups were founded in Germany last year. What we can see is that these startups were founded mostly in some hotspots, a lot of cities that have big universities, for example. And maybe on the next slide, give you some impression on these hotspots I was talking about, because which is important to know is that the German startup ecosystem is a pretty much diverse ecosystem. There is not just one hotspot, there are several hotspots. Berlin, it's the land of North Rhine-Westphalia, and also Bavaria, and you also see high numbers in other Länder, actually, like for example Baden-Württemberg. So this means the support that is provided by the federal level, by the Bund, and which we are talking about today, is just one part of the German startup ecosystem. There is a lot of support programs, financing programs provided by the Länder, even by some by some cities actually, and we are going to talk about that next Friday actually. Today is about the support on the federal level. And on the federal level, maybe the next slide, André, before we go into details, I would like to present you the kind of the overarching document that contains all the measures and instruments provided on the federal level, and that's the startup strategy. The startup strategy was it was passed by the federal government in summer 2022. And it contains a lot of measures and instruments aiming to strengthen the startup ecosystem in Germany and Europe. It's about 130 measures in all kind of fields of action, as we call it. And the implementation is pretty much on track. The goal was to implement these instruments within the legislative period, which is going to end a little bit earlier, as you all know. And by now we have implemented more than 80% of all the measures. But what is also important about the startup strategy is that the startup policy is right at the center of politics actually, and this is very good news. So here you can see the progress on the implementation by field of action. So we are very good, as you see, in implementing the financial measures. We also there are also a lot of regulatory measures that we implemented when it comes to capital markets, or when it comes also to immigration law and many more. But it's not only about regulatory measures and financing instruments. What we also have here is networks and other agencies and programs that can be helpful for you. One of these networks, maybe we can see that on the next slide, is the so-called Digital Hub Initiative. Philippe Kövener and Markus Hempel will give you some more information on that later on. So it's one of the most important networks when it comes to matching startups with SMEs and bigger companies, bring them together. And there are many more. Maybe on next slide you can see the links. I brought you some codes which you can scan, and there we have, for example, the Digital Hub Initiative. You have more information on that, but also, for example, German Accelerator. It is a program for startups to access international markets, for example, the United States, India, and many more. So this is also a very important program. We have the Federal Agency for Breakthrough Innovations called Sprint. You might have heard about that. You can also go on this website. And last but not least, we have a hotline which can provide you with advice on all the financing and funding programs. What we have, it's the Förderberatung. It's also here on this slide. So that's kind of an overview, and I think now we should go a little bit more further into details. If you have any questions, we can try to answer that after the presentations. And yeah, let's go into details. And thank you very much for your attention so far. And I'm gonna hand over to my colleague Moritz Matzmorr, who is in charge of Exist. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jochen.
Yes.
Welcome, Moritz.
Hello, everyone. My name is Moritz. Moritz Matzmorr. I'm a communication specialist at the Exist program. If you want to go to the first slide, I can just jump in because I'm going to give you a brief overview of what we do at Exist. As it's so much, I'm just going to pick some highlights. Basically, Exist is funded by the Federal Ministry for Economic Action and Climate, Economic Affairs and Climate Action, that way around. We've been around for over 25 years, supporting innovation that grows out of universities and research institutions. We are supplying funding, but also coaching and network access. And we are active from the pre-seed or even pre-seed phase to the first steps on the market. So we are the first go-to institution when it comes to thinking about starting a startup. And generally speaking, Exist is seen as a seal of quality, not only by the startups, but also by investors. Why is that so? On our next slide, we can see the number at the top in the middle. 81% of Exist-funded startups are still active on the market after 5 years. That's an average number between the programs. It differs slightly between each funding program, but maybe more interesting for you is the amount of startups that we support on average is 250 per year. And we are also having a strong focus with our program and one specific program, Exist Women, on female founders. Last year, we supported 1,000 female founders, and we are looking to grow that number even more. If you're funded by Exist, your probability of starting a business is twice as high as without Exist. So how do we do that? On our next slide, you can see the Exist universe consists of a lot of tailored programs that tackle specific needs of the startup ecosystem. But today I'm just going to dive into 3 of our major programs, which is the Exist Business Startup Grant, the Transfer of Research, and Exist Women. Just because of the time, I'm just going to give you a brief overview. So on the next slide, you can see those 3 programs. And so basically, the Startup Grant is aimed at student graduates or recent graduates and scientists that are interested in establishing a science or knowledge-based startup. And it's important to note that the fund takes place before incorporation, and the incorporation either takes place in the funding process or afterwards. And it's a 1 year of a monthly grant for up to 3 members of the founding team. Plus you get mentorship, and you get a budget for coaching and a budget for materials. The Transfer of Research, on the other hand, is a program that specifically targets those startup projects that have a complex and high-risk development work. The funding is split into 2 phases. We have the first phase that basically looks at prior research results and is developing them further with the intent to identify possible issues in transferring research findings into a business process or business product. And the second phase then dives even further into the development with a focus on actually starting the business and getting investment ready. And last but not least, we have the Exist Women program that is basically a pre-seed program. It aims to support women that are interested in founding a company through providing mentorship, training, and network access. And for that program, as with all other Exist programs, you can apply through universities or research institutions on our website, which you can find later in the presentation. You can access a list of all the institutions that you can apply through. There's no prior affiliation needed. Of course, if you have prior affiliation to any of those universities, it's not a bad thing. And last but not least, I want to just point out, I know most of you are probably EU citizens, but if one of your team members is not an EU citizen, we at Exist also provide support if you're publicly funded to attain the startup visa through the GCCC, which is the Global Certification and Consulting Center. And that's it for now. Lastly, I have a brief overview of companies that we funded. As you can see, it's all across the board, all different types of industries. So don't shy away. If you have any questions, you can reach us, and follow us on LinkedIn and just reach out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Moritz. We continue with Benedikt Walter from the High-Tech Gründerfonds. Am I correct?
Thank you. Yes, that's correct. Thank you, André. Great to be here. You can show the slides.
Absolutely. I just show you briefly before I show the slides so that we can see who you are. And welcome. And I'm starting the slides.
Thank you. So thank you very much. Yes, great to be here. Great to present you the High-Tech Gründerfonds. I will refer to the German name throughout the presentation because this is the well-known trend, well-known trademark, and I think if you talk about High-Tech Gründerfonds, everybody will know what you're talking about. So maybe if you want to translate it in English, it would be High-Tech Startup Fund, but High-Tech Gründerfonds is the trademark. So yes, I'm Benedikt. I work for the Ministry of Economic Affairs, and I'm in charge of the High-Tech Gründerfonds there. But let me put this up front. We as the ministry, we are not in the lead here. So the fund itself is very independent. The experts at the fund, they take their investment decisions independent. So they are the experts. And what I wanted to do today is to present you what we can do for you, how we can make your business a success, how we can contribute to your business success. And if you can show the next slides, I can go into more detail here. So High-Tech Gründerfonds, what is it? It's a venture capital fund. So what we do is we provide capital. We provide capital from the pre-seed phase. But since last year, we are also able to provide financing for growth rounds for very promising startups that are already in the portfolio. So we set up some kind of opportunity fund. And capital is, of course, very important, but nevertheless, it's not all. As much important as capital is know-how and advice and counseling. So this is the second point I wanted to present here or to raise here. So the fund is very experienced. There's a lot of know-how. We have experts from industrial tech to digital tech, but also biotechnology. And what we can do is we can provide you with the guidance and the counseling and the advice you need for your business. And if there is no expert in the fund itself, there will be definitely one in the network. And this is the third point I wanted to stress here. The network of the fund is very deep, and we can provide you and connect you with the person you need to know in order to make your business successful. And this year, actually, it's the 20th anniversary of the fund. So you can see the track history is very long, and we know how to do the business here. Maybe you can go to the next slide. Perfect. Yes. Now I can go into a little bit more detail on what we actually do. So I said investment is important, and some figures here. So when I talk about growth financing for the very promising and the very successful startups of the seed funds in the portfolio, we can invest up to 30 million then later on in growth rounds. But we start with smaller tickets and can provide seed investment. And this is mainly done through equity, so equity capital, but also through convertible loans. And we usually work together with co-investors. So if you are in a financing round, in the negotiation of a financing round, we are very happy to work together with the co-investors that you have and that you bring. Yes, so maybe the last slide. Yes, well, I think some criteria I should mention, because what qualifies the startups that we invest in and that we work together with. So as I said, it's a venture capital fund, so your business plan will be vetted. We will closely look on what you're doing. If it's innovative, is it really something that has a competitive advantage? So this is not much different from some standard VC fund here. And what I think what is worth to mention here as well in the context of this workshop, so there needs to be some relationship to Germany, some business in Germany, but this can be something that can be discussed and we can closer look at if once we work together. Yeah, so this is in a nutshell what High-Tech Gründerfonds is, what it does, and we would be very happy to support you, to be your partner, work together with you, and maybe the best is to contact the fund itself. So they are the experts, they can give you the advice, and of course you can also contact the ministry, my person, but this is something, yeah, that is probably best done directly in contact with the fund. So that's it. I hope I didn't talk too long, André, and happy to see you later.
Thank you very much, Benedikt. We continue with Christiane, Niesert-Mendoza.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Christiane Niesert-Mendoza. I'm also working for the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action. Tout d'abord, je veux chaleureusement saluer French Tech Berlin ainsi que toute la communauté des startups présentes aujourd'hui. Je trouve formidable que vous soyez venus aussi nombreux. Voilà, welcome to everybody. I'm presenting the Future Fund, which was adopted in 2021 by the German federal government in order to strengthen the VC ecosystem in Germany and Europe, together with private and public partners. 10 billion euros are available for the quantitative expansion and the qualitative enhancement of existing financing offers and the development of new instruments until 2030. KfW Capital is coordinating the Future Fund, the Zukunftsfonds, in close cooperation with the ministries of economic affairs and federal and finance. Up to now, 10 modules of the Future Fund with a volume of more than 11 billion euros are already active. Most of the modules are fund of funds. So they invest in venture capital funds, each with a different focus. For example, high tech or climate or social impact or gender topics. Today, I will present two modules who invest directly in startups. These are the Deep Tech Climate Fund and the Venture Tech Growth Financing. So, starting with the Deep Tech Climate Fund. The Deep Tech Climate Fund is active in the field of groundbreaking technologies, deep tech. A total, that's the first slide of the presentation.
This one.
Yes, thank you. A total investment volume up to 1 billion euros is earmarked over the next 10 years. DTCF invests together always with private investors, such as family offices, foundations, or private companies or business angels, and has always a long-term investment horizon and focus on the sustainable growth of their investments. So DTCF is the right partner for entrepreneurs running innovative deep tech and climate tech companies whose business models are characterized by a longer development cycle and high financial requirements. So on the next slide, you see the focus on the key technologies in the field of industry, computing, climate, and life science, with all the high technology topics of the actual society. On the next slide, I will present the criteria for the investment. So the fund looks for companies who have a clear connection with Germany, the Deutschlandbezug. The companies have to have, for example, a permanent establishment or a subsidiary. But the financing always takes place in the parent company. The size of the company should be less than 250 employees or 50 million euro sales or balance sheet. And the investments normally range between 5 to 30 million euros, exceptionally less, with a maximum participation of 25%. So it has to be a growing technology company with a validated business model. And the investment always takes place jointly with the private investor. Since the creation of DTCF in February 2023, already 13 investments have been realized. And one example I would like to present or mention is the French company Bpifrance, which DTCF invested recently. It is a company specialized in creating bio-based and biodegradable solutions. I also warmly welcome the investment manager, Jonas Sommer, who is in the call and can additionally answer your questions later if you have. The second fund on the next slide, which I would like to introduce, is the Venture Tech Growth Financing, which offers venture debt. Venture debt complements the venture capital ecosystem and plays an important role in the funding life cycle to cover the financing gap during the growth stage. So in between or complementary to the VC funds, the capital funds, and the later stage with bank loans. Next slide. So venture debt is for venture capital-backed growth companies on their path to profitability. That means for companies who will reach a positive EBITDA in the coming 2 or 3 years. The companies who have outgrown the pre-seed and seed phase but do not have a positive or regular cash flow yet. So VTGF is financing organic growth with either working capital lines or term loans. And this always together with a private financing partner, either a private bank or a private debt fund. Usually with a risk sharing 50-50. The ticket size depends on the growth stage and can range between 500,000 up to 125 million euros. Thus, the companies can be continuously accompanied during their growth. The advantage of venture debt is to prevent dilution of the shares. So this is especially important for the founders, to accelerate the growth and thus strengthen the value of equity. It's always with a great flexibility in structuring this transaction, and so the possibility to provide capital rapidly, more rapidly than venture capital. So VTGF is looking for companies in the next slide, as it is presented on the next slide, is in the phase of early growth until the post-IPO stage, so during a very long period. In terms of revenue, a demonstrable proof of concept is required, and initial sustainable sales must be achieved. VTGF can deliver additional growth financing for technologically innovative companies in all different sectors. So the fund is a complementary source of funding. That means an experienced venture capital investor must already be on board. I also would like to welcome Frank Reitze and Johannes Schwab from the fund, who can answer your questions later if there are some. Thanks for listening, and I hope my presentation was helpful for you.
It was very, very helpful. Thank you very much, Christiane. We hear a lot about this new fund. It's quite new yet, February 2023, but it's very good to know more now about it. Thanks to you. We continue with Philippe Kövener from the Germany Trade and Invest, GTAI.
Thank you. Also from my side, bonjour à tous. Maybe one question, is my microphone working? Can you hear me?
We can hear you and we can see you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So I prepared a few slides as well. Could you?
Yeah, sharing them.
That's great. Thank you.
Just 1 second, sharing so that people can take a screenshot. The contact for the Zukunftsfonds Future Fund of Christiane. Voilà. And now we continue with you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. My name is Philippe Kövener. I work for Germany Trade and Invest. And I brought a colleague of mine, Markus Hempel, who also works for Germany Trade and Invest. And over the next, let's say, 5 minutes, I will introduce you a bit more to the Digital Hub initiative, which Jochen introduced earlier in this call. And as I can tell you many, many things, I brought a testimonial. So Markus is our man in France, and he will bring more flesh to the bone, and he will, let's say, live in the things that I will present now. Right, so this is the Digital Hub initiative. You might have realized that this is a map of Germany. Germany is a very diverse country. I sometimes say very much unlike France, it's not very centralized, it's very decentral, both, let's say, economically, geographically, and politically. which means there are certain centers of gravity industry-wise. For instance, the majority of the banks in Germany is in Frankfurt in the center. And the largest port in Germany is in Hamburg in the north. And what the Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Climate Action did in 2017, they set up a set of hubs. A hub is always a physical location as well as a virtual location reflecting these industries. And in those hubs, there are startups and established companies working together. And if I get back to my example from earlier on, in Frankfurt, where all the banks are, we set up the FinTech hub. So there are FinTechs and banks working together and, let's say, trying to find new ways how technology, how digitization can be used to make banking in Germany more efficient and faster and more secure. Maybe second example, as I said, the large port in Hamburg. So it would make sense to set up the logistics hub in Hamburg, and again, startups and established companies sitting together there virtually and physically, working together how logistics can be made better, quicker, more digital in Germany. And that's basically the idea. So in those locations, we put together startups and established companies for a mutual benefit. And let's say the background idea is that the German economy as a whole will benefit from this as well. Next slide, please. Thank you. And basically our target group is fivefold. Startups, quite obviously. We want to bring startups, SMEs, and corporates together, as I just said. And we believe that both sides have a benefit from this setup. Startups, as you know, are basically in constant need of money, and we help them get in contact with their industry peers. And the industry, they, as far as we see it, they need new technology, they need new ideas, they need innovation, they need new talent, and both sides benefit from this. Also, the network has quite a few investors in it. So I just said startups need money, so we try to get investors also on board and in contact with the startups in those hubs. And R&D. Well, many startups are university spin-offs, and many of our hubs have university or, let's say, academic institutes as their partners. So R&D plays a big role as well. Next slide, please. And as I said, Germany, unlike France, is very, let's say, well, France is obviously also a diverse country, but Germany is diverse also in its, let's say, its federalism. So we are a federal country, which means that there are strong states, and we basically try to unite the various initiatives and the various networks of the states. And we work very closely together with the states and with the various programs that already exist in the states. So yeah, we try to combine, let's say, the various offers that the various levels in Germany have. Next slide, please. But quite obviously, and this is where Germany Trade and Invest comes into place, we are not only focused on Germany, we are, let's say, focused on the world. We try to help the startups grow worldwide. You see the various dots here on that nice little map. The red dots are GTAI offices. So my colleagues are in more than 60 countries all around the world. Then we've got the chambers of commerce, which would be the black dots, which we work very closely together with, plus partners such as the German Accelerator, All Are French Tech, or Invest in Singapore, or. So the basic message of this slide is that we want to create a network all around the world for our startups to grow. We believe that if our startups want to go to a different country, let's say Canada, it would make sense to have a strong network in Canada, or maybe France would be maybe an even better example. So we are in very close contact with various government bodies, with various organizations in many countries, and in some we even have, let's say, colleagues, local colleagues, who are an even better amplifier. Next slide, please. And in a nutshell, what we help the startups with is basically a journey. So many of the hubs have incubator and accelerator programs. If a startup wants, they can also rent office spaces in those hubs. We help them with various visibility packages. Also, we help them by bringing them to startup events all around the world. And in the hubs, there's also various kinds of matchmaking and innovation and cooperation programs. So the idea is really that a startup, which at the very beginning has an idea, has maybe a business case, goes through a certain journey, and in the end has very sound collaborations and cooperations with startups. And we do our very best to help the startups grow internationally, as well as I just presented in my previous slide. Next slide. Yeah, that's basically well, the Scan Me slide. And now I introduced you to, let's say, the theoretical aspects of the Digital Hub Initiative. But as I mentioned in my very beginning, I brought Markus with me, our colleague in France, and he will now tell you a bit more how he actually fosters collaborations between Germany and France.
Yes, thank you, Philippe, for this introductory words, and also thank you to my colleagues in Berlin, and also to the organizers of this event. Yeah, I'm Markus Hempel. I'm actually the DE Hub ambassador here in Paris, based in France for the DE Hub initiatives, the Digital Hub Initiative. And actually, yeah, as Philippe already said, my role is really to get in touch with the French startups here in France, help them to go onto the journey Philippe just described, so to connect them to the German startup ecosystem, to the hubs. So if there's a French startup that has a project of expanding to Germany, either by being selling the services to Germany or cooperating with research institutions in Germany, but also startups that have the project of setting up an office in Germany, we're here to help them. How do we do this? Actually, Philippe already said it. We are trying to be in close touch with our French counterparts, French organizations. So I see here today, there are also colleagues from Bpifrance, from Business France, and La French Tech, not only Berlin, but also here in Paris. So of course, these are all organizations we're working with. And I use this platform also to make an announcement that we're already working in the they're working on an event that we have at the Paris AI Action Summit at the Business Day. So we're trying to bring together the French and the German ecosystem. More details will follow, but yeah, maybe those of the startups that are interested in the AI topics or working in the AI field, this could be a good possibility to connect in the next days. Yeah, and then I think our contact details are here on the PowerPoint, so please don't hesitate to get in touch with us.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Markus. We continue with Florent Buschiazzo from Bpifrance.
Thank you very much, André. Schön, dass Sie da sind. I'm very happy to be here and to give you a few insights of the Bpifrance, so the so-called French Public Investment Bank. It's always, let's say, difficult to explain our activities in only 5 minutes, but we can directly jump into the first slides. So the French Public Investment Bank is the so-called one-stop shop for the French entrepreneurs in France and in Germany. So basically, we finance, support, invest in French projects and in French startups, SMEs, and large corporates. So our commitment is to accompany these enterprise at every stages of their journey with unique financial tools, investments tools, equity guarantees, and many, many more. So as a one-stop shop, fully owned by the French state, is like the merger or the fusion between KfW Capital, Spring-D, Euler Hermes in Germany. We have under one roof with one desk, basically, many business lines from the equity side to the export credit agency. So next slide, please. Few insights about our strategy and figures. So our main goal is to help kind of the reindustrialization of France. We really would like to massify the French ecosystem, the French industry sector with tech and with technology. So first, we tackle all the innovation in France, not only with startups, but also with SMEs. Then we guide the French SMEs to mitigate their carbon footprint with unique advisory plan or green loans. And then we also use public resources from the national plan France 2030 to foster the deep tech verticals such as hydrogen, nuclear power, AI, quantum computing. So in a nutshell, we inject roughly every year between 60 and 80 billion into the French economy. And when it comes to innovation and tech company, it's more than 6,000 companies in our portfolio with a comprehensive 9.4 billion injected every year or roughly every year for innovative initiative. So next slide, please. So obviously, the German footprint is a key strategy for us because, of course, Germany is the first partner of the French ecosystem. It's really important for us to bridge the gap between Germany and France, and we are based in Düsseldorf, building a strong ecosystem to help and to foster a Franco-German partnership and project, industrial project and tech project. We organize a delegation, learning expedition to bridge the gap between those ecosystems. And we are more than happy to launch in few months the first Franco-Bavarian accelerator with our Bavarian friends here. So next slide, please. Keep in mind that as the toolbox for the French entrepreneurs, we deliver a comprehensive range of tools, of financial facilities, of guarantees to help French startups to build network in Germany, to innovate with German partners, to develop their project in Germany, so we can easily finance and set up tools to help the companies to settle down in Germany, to invest in Germany, and to develop their business there. So I won't be too long, and I will be happy to keep in touch and to work with you on the Franco-German side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Florent. And we continue with Etienne Leroux from Business France. And
Thank
after
you.
that, we will continue with the questions. So don't hesitate to ask questions in the chat or to raise your hand, and we will start the questions in 5 minutes.
Thank you, André. Hello, everyone. I hope you are all well. My name is Etienne Leroux. I'm head of Tech and Services Department at Business France in Germany. And I'm delighted to be with you today for this webinar. André, could we share the presentation? Thank you. Well, if you are a French startup and you are considering expanding to Germany or accelerating your development in Germany, Business France may be the right fit. Let me give you first some general information about who we are and what we do. Next slide, thank you. Business France is the official agency of the French government that promotes the export growth of French companies and facilitates international investment in France. The organization is actively involved in promoting French companies, strengthening their image, and increasing the country's attractiveness as an investment location. Business France runs also the VIE International Internship Program. Next slide. Next one. With more than 1,400 employees based in more than 50 countries, Business France has, as you can see, a global reach. In Germany, the entire team of Business France is based in Düsseldorf, the biggest region in Germany with around 18 million inhabitants, and we are about 60 employees in Düsseldorf. Because we are today with French startups interested in learning about support solutions for development in Germany, I will now focus my presentation on our export departments and solutions. Our export team in Germany and all around the world is divided into 4 separate departments: tech and services, industry and clean tech, lifestyle and healthcare, and agrotech. Business France supports French startups, scale-ups, and SMEs that may have a different level of maturity from one company to another. On the one hand, a company may not have in-depth knowledge of the German market. On the other hand, it may be a French company already established in Germany through a subsidiary with a sales team and also with good customer references. We are, by Business France, able to support these 2 distinct profiles. If we talk about individual support, we offer support in the go-to-market strategy. We carry out personalized market studies and approach potential customers or partners on behalf of our clients with the aim of organizing B2B meetings and generating leads. On a collective level, we organize B2B events such as business trips, learning expedition, and accelerator programs. I will come back to the presentation of our accelerator program a bit later. Still on a collective level, we support French delegations that exhibit on our pavilions at the largest trade fairs in Germany, which are, as you know, often major European and even global events. And what we do, we offer an exhibition stands as well as additional services. Now, I would like to introduce you to Business France flagship product, the VIE International Internship Program. Business France operates this program, which allows French companies to grow all over the world, thanks to French and European talents aged between 18 and 28 years old. The company determines its specific needs, market research, prospecting, reinforcement of local team, etc., as well as the duration of the mission can be from 6 to 24 months. And today there are over 11,500 young talents active in positions worldwide. Now I would like to briefly introduce you to our Impact Accelerator program, which I'm sure will be of interest to our French startups present today. Impact Germany Austria is a 9-month accelerator program designed for innovative French tech companies. The program aims to assist our French delegation of innovative companies in understanding German and Austrian business practices, establishing a French-German-Austrian network, and exploring the market with a dedicated German-speaking advisor for the project. Our program is running for the 6th consecutive year, and as you can see, applications are open until the end of February, so do not hesitate to apply. On this side, on this specific slide, you will find our networks of startups, scale-ups, and SMEs that have participated in previous editions of our program. You will surely recognize some of them. Following our program, several of them have successfully established themselves in Germany. For instance, we have the companies Lemonway and Magma Technology. To conclude my speech and to complete what Florent said about the France 2030 plan, I would like to give you, I would say, more information about it. France 2030 is an ambitious investment plan mobilizing 54 billion euros to transform strategic sectors and respond to ecological, economic attractiveness and sovereignty challenges through innovation, research, and training. A startup can contribute to giving France a head start through innovative projects by applying to the France 2030 plan. If the application is accepted, the company can benefit from a government subsidy in addition to those proposed by our partner, Bpifrance, and has the possibility to carry out an export action plan for the priority countries on its roadmap. And it could be obviously Germany. Well, I hope so. Applications are open, so do not hesitate to apply. I'm now done with my presentation. Thank you for your attention. I'm at your disposal if you have any question. I will be happy to make introduction meetings for those who wish. And let's get in touch. Thank you.
André, we can't hear you. We cannot. You're muted.
Thank you very much.
You're still mute, André.
Yes, it should work now. You can hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So if anybody has a question, don't hesitate to raise your hand, and maybe if you want to show you on the camera and ask your question. Welcome, Dawood.
Hi, hello. Thank you very much for a very nice presentation and the information. Here's Dawood Momeni from XDefine, a deep tech company based in beautiful Hamburg. So I can now greet you all from China. One quick question. I saw a very nice map, especially from, I think, presentation from Philippe Kövener. So in your map, there was like many dots everywhere in the globe. So I'm now thinking, considering this geopolitical condition worldwide, is there any restriction that these new companies like us should consider? Is there any limit, like with, yeah, especially in the deep tech area?
So I'm not sure if I
maybe
got the question really.
I can repeat that question. So I see from your map that this dots, the hubs or the network that you have is pretty much distributed everywhere in the world. And now we are dealing with this geopolitical condition in the world, and especially considering the deep tech companies, I'm thinking if there is any concern or limits or any considerations that these companies should consider. My second question is maybe a short one. How long does it take? So this assessment application. So one of the things that we are dealing with is the pretty lengthy process to apply for the funding or this discussion. How this generally is there any progress or like yeah, to get it a bit shorter, this process maybe from
I can answer your second question I think very quickly. The process on the map looks much more complicated than it actually is. If you are interested in the digital hubs, all you have to do is send me an email, preferably with your pitch deck. I will then review the pitch deck and talk to the digital hubs, because our aim is always to find the most fitting digital hub to your needs, right? Depending on your technology, on your customer base. And then I will do an intro to that hub, and they will talk to you and say, hey, Davut, this is what we can offer you. This is our program range. This is how we can support. So the actually pretty easy. Send me an email with your pitch deck, and maybe we could discuss the second issue on a one-to-one basis in a separate call.
For sure. Thank you. Yeah, I will do that. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Does somebody else wants to come on stage and ask a question? You can also re-ask a question that you ask on the chat, or I can read the questions. One of them is from Daniela. The exist women, the exist women is only for women connected to universities or research institutions?
Yes, I'm just writing an answer. Generally speaking, yes. It's there. Like I'll drop the definition in the chat. However, as each university has a slightly different program, there might be exceptions to this rule. So I cannot answer this with 100% certainty.
Okay. Then we have.
I can add to this because Samia Klingner, I'm into this. As far as I know, the application is by universities, but you don't need to be a researcher to apply for it in terms of women exist. So that's what in both cases exist, or every program of exist is important to know. You don't have to register your company first. So you have to be in the pre-seed phase before applying the access program. So just to add this, if I'm wrong, Moritz, say it to me, but that's
no, 100%. It's pre-incorporation always.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a huge problem because the startups are registered and then they can't apply to access, and that's just to add this information.
We continue to the next question, Samia.
Yeah, of course. Sorry.
Saskia.
So hi, and thank you very much. Super interesting presentations, super helpful. So I represent a company that many of you might have heard about because we're in the news a lot in recent months. It's Lilium. It's a company that has more than 250 employees. Right now it's something like 600. We have very long development times. We don't have a product to sell yet. And if I have rightly understood the presentations regarding the German funding opportunities, so the Deep Tech Climate Fund, for example, or the High Tech Gründerfonds, there's always restrictions in terms of employees, or that you have to have some sort of sales return. First of all, the question is this correct? And are these hard requirements? And if yes, then what would be your suggestion for companies, deep tech companies that are in a similar position to get funding support?
Who wants to answer, or is it a question for somebody precise?
Well, I think Benedikt and Christiane probably are also everyone who is presenting on
maybe
the funding.
just quickly from my side. So for the high-tech Gründer, for Indeed, I mean, this is a venture capital fund. So what it looks at is actually the business model, and if it's innovative, and if there is some promising business model for the next few years. It's indeed a seed fund, so pre-seed and seed. So we invest in the very early phases, and then there would be needed a valid business model. I cannot say much about other programs, but we have seen, for instance, the Federal Agency for Breakthrough Innovation. That would be something which I'm not responsible for, but sounds interesting in your case. If there is no turnover, or there is no revenue at the moment, so this is something I could imagine that can help you. Yes, so maybe from the deep tech fund is also an option, but the colleagues in the call are responsible for the deep tech fund are much more have much more expertise to answer this question.
The agency you just mentioned is the Sprint Agentur, no? I guess.
That's what I meant. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, from my side, I'm the DTCF. I think, yeah, that would be reasonable to have a direct exchange, and yeah, there are certain criteria, for example, in terms of employees. But I think most appreciated would be a direct contact between us to find a solution if possible.
Yes, Saskia, I'm from DTCF, so like please feel free to just write me directly. But I think you already got it correct that we cannot invest in publicly traded companies, and also not in companies which have above 250 employees.
Okay, so we continue with Amir.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. It was brilliant. I have a question generally about the incubators or accelerators in Germany or France, and specifically about Exist. I want to know that whether there are subsidized program, or should we pay, or is it equity-based programs? Could you please give me some information about getting into the programs? And also, yeah, this is my first question, and I will go further for the second one.
Well, in regards to Exist, I can say that it's a grant. It's not equity based. It's a grant. And you know, the earliest stages startups, they've if it takes too much time, and the founders and co-founders are they have no income, so no salary, and they're burned. So in one side there are it's hard work, and the other side, when they want to get the funds, the investors say that you should work full time on your project. So in this case, how can we have a little money for surviving actually in this period of time at the earliest stages? Well, this is what Exist is for. Like it supplies up to three members of the founding team with a monthly grant that is based on certain criteria. On average, it's between 2,000, 2,500, sometimes even 3,000 per month. That is there to cover living expenses. And it depends on the city. For example, I mean, Hamburg
it depends on the state, or does it depend?
It depends on your university degree.
University degree.
There's also, in addition, if you have kids, 150 euros per child. This is there so you can focus on your work full time.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks.
Maybe we can continue with a question from Daniel Kajik. If you are here, don't hesitate to come on stage to talk, or I'm reading your question. The question is.
Yeah, I can say it.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, so I've been looking for many of these incubators and also investments and everything. So I'm wondering, is there a specific place where for example, building AI-powered platform for independent musicians and venues to help them navigate the music scene. So basically, it's going to be a huge AI platform. So it's AI technology, but it's also music technology and related to music. Are there any places where I could apply? I don't know, exist or something? And is there any focus from all these investments on this, or is it always something like related to sustainability, to some other sectors or anything? And the second question would be, I didn't write it, but I think related to exist is, I keep hearing that, okay, it's a very good program and stuff, but there are these criteria like you need to have 5 years of graduate or someone next to you that it's fresh from university or something. So I'm getting always a bit confused because yes, I do have a bachelor degree, but that was like, I don't know, many years ago. So do I fit there? And then do I need to have some kind of mentor or like professor or whomever from university, or do I need to have a partner or co-founder that is fresh out of university? And like, how does this actually fit in a founder space that's trying to build a startup, which is not always easy? I mean, it's never easy, but it's like
okay, let's keep some space for people to answer.
Yeah.
Who wants to answer?
I could answer the first question. So admittedly, the map was filled with tiny dots, but one of those dots, of those digital hubs, is the MediaTek hub in Potsdam, near to Berlin. So this is the space for startups in the area of MediaTek. And maybe the two of us should talk in the aftermath, because this is exactly space for startups such as you, with specific programs in the area of MediaTek and also big MediaTek customers, which is also sometimes quite interesting for startups. So let's speak after this, and I'll see if I can make a proper connection.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, would like to read one question from Kunal. I don't know if Kunal is still there. Kunal Dabai.
I'm still here. Hi.
Okay. Do you want to ask your question?
Yes. So it's a straightforward question on AI topics. So I'm building AI platform as well, and I wanted to just ask if there are also specific programs that support AI startups. We are in early pre-seed phase, and because the same question as the previous one, there are a lot of specific programs that focus on the green tech, or even talk about the deep tech, but like deep tech can be a lot of things. Are there any specific ones that help the AI startups? I think there was already an answer and a link to Exist, and there's one which is the Keats program in Berlin. But are there any other support that are there? Just that was my question.
Maybe I can answer this question, maybe in very general, if I may. So I'm speaking for the HTGF Gründerfonds, and whatever the fund does is agnostic with regard to the industry. So as an AI startup, you would be definitely something that is interesting for the fund, because we don't look at the industry, we don't look at whether it's specific, I don't know, industrial tech or whatever. So the technology as itself is interesting. Is it innovative? Is it something that can really change the business? And so as AI, you would I think you would fit perfectly well. But in general, so maybe some others have the same question. So we're agnostic with regard to the industry. So it doesn't matter whether you're health or whether you're chemistry or whatever.
Okay.
Okay, then let's go to the next question. Just before that, I guess you heard about the AI summit in Paris. There will be some tickets available for AI startups at the business day of the AI summit in Paris that happens in February, on the 11th of February at Station F. So if you are looking for Station F business days, you will be able also to get a lot of networking for AI startups in Paris in February, and request on their website for a free entrance. Duroseme Taylor. If you want to talk. Or we have also Petra Gospodnetic. Duroseme.
Yeah. So my question is regarding the EXIST program. So I work together with a startup that is a UG. They make very little revenue. We have decided to go with a deep tech transfer. I'm currently at the R&D Institute. I have a PhD that I obtained 4 years ago, and in that way I would be eligible for EXIST. However, given that there is an UG, so not a full GmbH. The question for me is, would it be allowed to apply for EXIST with the same team? Because
sadly, no,
yeah.
I have to say. If you already incorporated, then that's sadly a no.
Because it significantly changes how the startup would operate and the technology that would be used.
Okay, Moritz, that's nevertheless like a really interesting question. Like, what would you recommend in this case? Do you think there is an alternative program, or would I have to close my first startup so that I can apply for EXIST, or can I keep the startup because the next one is significantly different?
It's a good question. I would probably recommend contacting our hotline, because we have specific experts for each technology field. So they might be more versed in like telling you like, oh, there's this other grant that you could apply for, or maybe what you said, like dissolve this company, start a new one, you know. Because I'm a general communicator, I would probably advise you to get in touch with my expert colleagues.
All right, continue with Florian.
Yeah, hello, Florian Breipol from the company Enerkite, airborne wind energy converters. I have a question to Jonas Sommer from the Deep Tech and Climate Fonds. We applied for funding at the Deep Tech and Climate Fonds in 2023 and didn't succeed, and we didn't get any reasons for that at this time. Since then, we had a lot of quite good results in our development, including selling our first system, getting into the EEG of Germany as a technology proof of concept, and we are building our first of a kind now. So the question is, does it make sense to reapply or to talk again, having achieved another level of readiness?
Hi, Florian.
Hi.
Yeah, I think I remember that we had contact with you like last year, or like I think in 2023.
April.
So I mean, it's always worth to resend us your documents if you make significant progress. So, yeah, just feel free to connect with me and send us your up-to-date documents.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, we can continue with Gael.
Hello, My name is Ben, and Gail is actually my friend, so that's why that's her name here. And I have a question for Benedikt from HTGF. We have a product that we are selling, and it's a sports product, and it is successful, but we want to scale it up, and we have an AI prototype to have sensors and smart additions to it. But for that, we need a new investment and a new money. And the question is, you said in your presentation that you started 800K. So far, we were seeking for 350K from an angel investor, and it looks quite good. And the question is, if we can raise it up to 400K, would you then be able to match that to reach the 800K? Or how is it related to get to that barrier?
So yeah, thanks for the question. So I think the ticket size is variable, so it can be adjusted to the needs of your financing round, depending on how big it is and what is needed. There are some limitations, but nevertheless, it's flexible. And given what you tell me about your business model, I cannot give you any indication of whether it would be interesting or not. But in general, I think it's something that could provide for further investigation. But as I said, I am not involved in the decision-making process itself, and the experts who know about the business, they are in the fund. So the best would be to talk to them, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a question from Duo Seme. If you don't want to talk, I can read your question. It's I would like to know if US-based startups are eligible in general. Yeah. So I guess the question can be for many of you. If I understand correctly, in general, do you have to have an incorporated subsidiary? Do you have to have your headquarters in Germany to get help from one of the helps that was presented today? Can I be in 2 countries? Who wants to answer?
Maybe from my perspective of the Hightech Gründerfonds. So the investment focus is, of course, European, and there needs to be some relation to the German market. But there is no rule in general. But again, this is just my idea how to answer your question. So if it's very specific, the fund would be happy to talk to you.
Okay. There is a question from Manchi Gantu. Do you want to come on stage, or I read your question? Okay. Question is, are there any programs for social impact startups which is still in ideation phase? Moritz.
Hi. Yes, exists. So that's why I like to say it's not only science-based but knowledge-based. It doesn't have to be a tech startup or anything. We actually have funded impact startups before and continue to do so, and it's actually a growing part of what we do. So and especially if you haven't founded your company yet, it sounds like a good match.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Joey about an EdTech. Joey, if you are here, or I can read the question. To the presenters, I'm working with two young techies. We are developing an EdTech and career services platform, AI-driven, to help students and young professionals to make informed decisions. We are looking for funding and investors. Do you have any suggestions for us? Is there anything specific for EdTech AI or? Okay, that's okay.
I can only repeat what I said before. So we're not agnostic to the industry. So it sounds interesting, and High-Tech Gründerfonds has a digital tech experts and AI experts. So yes, with more information, I think it would be easier to judge. But in general, yes.
Okay, so we are approaching the end of this talk. If there is any last question, don't hesitate. Marie-Avril, do you want to help me to conclude with maybe Jochen?
Thank you very much, André, for setting up this meeting. I think it was really interesting, and I must say, for me also, to have a summary and an overview of all the possibility. It's really great. My impression is that you have a lot of flexibility, actually. So you have your programs, but it's also possible to get in touch with you and to discuss directly and to see if you have a solution. So I think now we have all your contacts. So it's great to get in touch directly. Thank you very much, Jochen.
Jochen, do you want to talk a little bit?
Yes. Yes, sorry, I was trying to unmute you, unmute me. Yeah, thank you also from my side. Thank you very much to you, Marie-Avril and André, for setting up this call. Thank you for all all of you participating in the call, and especially to the colleagues who gave presentations today. Yeah, we learned a lot, and I think there are a lot of questions coming up afterwards. Just let us know. You have our contact details, and get in touch with us. Yes, now already looking forward to next week, actually, where we get more into detail when it comes to the local support. So there are more, as I said, the German startup ecosystem is pretty much diverse. So there's a lot of more to come, and many more programs also on the Länder level and on the communities and city level. So yeah, a little cliffhanger, and yeah, just a little suspense. See you next Friday, but I think maybe it's André to give us some final words. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. We do have indeed a meeting next week, same time. So on Friday, the 31st of January. I'm happy to share my screen. In the comments, you can see the link to register. It will be a very similar format. Let me show you what we have. It will be called Local Help for Startups in Germany. We will welcome again Jochen Zimmermann with Samaria Dahl from Karlsruhe, Susan Ross from Leipzig, Sebastian Hannebusch from NRW Bank, Veronika Reichbott from Hamburg, Friedemann Lotz from Berlin, Maximilian Lenchow from Bavaria, and again, Marie-Avril. And the idea is to show that there is not only this federal help, but also help, like not only national help, but also help in the regions available. So don't hesitate to register, and we are looking forward to see you again soon. If we could not answer your questions live, don't hesitate to send us a message, to follow us on LinkedIn especially, and the talk will be has been recorded. We will share it soon. The presentations will also be shared per email with everybody who registered. Thank you very much to the speakers. Thank you very much, Jochen, and all of your team. Thank you, Marie-Avril, and thank you to people who were attending until the end. And we will see you next week.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thank you.
See you
Thank you,
next
everyone.
week. À la semaine
Bye-bye.
prochaine.
Thank you.
Bye,
everyone.
Thank
See
you.
you next week. Bye.
See you next week.